Family, we need to talk. There is a debt crisis happening right now, and it's actually not the one you see on the news. It's not mortgage, it's not student loans, it's actually the silent debt crisis. I'm talking about the ones hiding behind Klarna, overdrafts, buy now, pay later, Clearpay, you name it. That is what I'm talking about, and it's actually scary. People are drowning and they don't actually realize they are under the water. Can you imagine sailing on top of the waters, yet you are drowning? You believe it's the ish, you believe it's the lifestyle, but this is eating deeply into that pocket. And the sad news is, once again, let me take you back to the Bible. The Bible has been warning us about these debts long before these apps. So what is happening? Proverbs 22:7 says, the borrower is a slave to the lender. I don't know how long I'll be repeating this verse, but I think I will keep repeating this as much as it is needed. It doesn't say how much you should borrow. It doesn't say how much debt you are required. It simply says if you owe, you are controlled, and that is where it ends. You are controlled. You do not have the upper hand anymore. There is a restrictive measure to your finances. Today, slavery doesn't look like chains. No, it does not look like chains. It comes indirectly and it's quite silent. It is like Klarna, overdraft, buy now, pay later, Clearpay, you name it. That is what it's all about. This is a digital bondage and it's a silence, and so it actually makes it normalized. But in court, in normal, it is debt. Credit card debt, buy now, pay later, pay in 3 installments, 3 days reminders to pay. These are all forms of bondage. All right, welcome back to YAT Finance. And as always, I'm so honored to be here on this side. I thank God for another opportunity for us to be able to do this. And hey, if you need to message me, yatfinance25@gmail.com. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do me the honor. This channel is your home. This is where we're breaking down and redefining finance. YAT Finance. That is your home. All right, let's get straight into this. So for the purpose of illustration, let's do this together. So I have these. Now, what do I use this for? Actually, I'm a good pastries maker. That's something you didn't know. And my favorite is meat pie. And so I use this and cutting them into shapes here and there. But hey, that's not why we're here. And so imagine that you have these, and these are little components within it's set up. All of this together looks a little bit huge, but then on its own, it has not. And so, for example, let's say this represents your Klarna. You bought something and you paid via Klarna. And so this is it. And it's actually £10. So on its own, it isn't much. We have this. This represents your overdraft fees. On its own, probably it is £20. It isn't much. So that's your overdraft fees. Let me put it right here. £10, £20, it isn't much on its own. And then we have this. This is a buy now, pay later. Probably we're paying it in 6 installments or 3 installments. And maybe that is also £20. So we have a 10, we have 20, and we have a 20. So that is 50. But you see, individually, it actually isn't much. And then we also have another one here. So what we have here, let's say interest on credit card payment. You owe on a credit card, you haven't settled the full debt, and so there's going to be an accrued interest, and this is represented as interest. And maybe let's say this interest is also £20. That is 70 on its own. Individually, it isn't much, so it's not that scary. It is all right. We can manage this. £10, 20 is something we can actually manage on its own. And the best part is the fact that probably at the end of the month, this one may be coming out on the 1st. Maybe this is the 10th. This is the 12th. This is the 20th within the same month. But then it isn't much, and we are not tracking it. And so we do not actually know the volumes that we're actually spending. And let's say, what do we give this? Let's say this is also representing that bag that we purchased, another buy now, pay later. And we need to clear maybe £20 out of this. And so what do we have here? We have 90 pounds, but on its own, these are little components. It's actually isn't much. And maybe we also have interest on loans that we are paying. This interest, maybe you never know. When you pay your loan, there's something that accrued on that loan. Probably you may be paying it at the end of the loan term. Others may be monthly. Let's say £10 for instance. And together, let me just add all of it, making £100. Maybe 10, 10, 20, whatever it is, and then making £100. On its own, it's actually not much. And so 10, 20, 10, 10, 20, whatever it is, it's actually not much. But then let's put them together. So we have your loan, we have a credit card, we have your buy now, pay later. We have a Klarna, we have maybe another 3-month installment, and maybe the overdraft fees we have over here. Say all of this together is £100. Now that is quite a lot of money, but it's silent, and so we actually do not see the impact of it. But then this is the silent debt crisis I am actually talking about. This is something because you're not monitoring, you're not tracking all of these, and so probably you may think it's all right. Yes, for the satisfaction, it is all right. You needed that shoe, we got it. It is all right. You needed whatever it is that you purchased on credit, but that you spread in 8 payments. It is all right. But together, it's actually a lot, and it's eating down that pot. Believe it or not, this is something that can be eradicated. But then, how do you do this? By acknowledging all of these debts and knowing that probably it could be £10, it could be £20, but then put together, it's quite a lot. None of these felt heavy, and this is how your soul feels like when you carry micro debt, tiny little debt, but then it forms an ocean in the end. It feels light at the checkout, but heavy in your life. Hebrews 12:1 says, let us throw off every weight. Throwing off every little weight is that thing that drowns you, but then you don't feel it. It is that weight that takes quite a lot from you. You do not feel it. That weight that brings a lot of pressure on you, but you do not feel it. The reason is because it is actually silent. And you cannot throw away what you do not acknowledge. And so please, can we acknowledge these silent debts just so we can eradicate them out of our lives? To be honest, most people aren't drowning because they are irresponsible. Yes, they are responsible. But these things are not being tracked. And they buy on impulse. That is why these are happening. They are drowning because debt has become too easy, too normal, and too invisible. If you take buy now, pay later, it feels like free money. Just like £10 today, split it into 4, pay later. But later always comes anyway. And that is the honest truth. Overdraft pretends to be income. People say, I get paid £2,000 a month. No, I'm sorry. You got paid your $2,000 minus all the mini deductions. And so you have the net. And the net with you minus your overdraft. That is what it is. Because that overdraft is debt. It isn't yours. And so we need to pay that back. Plus the daily interest on overdraft. Credit cards, on the other hand, rewards you for borrowing. Points, cash back, all of these little nuggets, little rewards that they chip in here and there. It actually feels good. It feels like you're winning, but you're not winning. There's nothing free in this life. And these institutions are in to make profits. I am not here to discourage you from using credit cards because credit card is an awesome tool if you know what you're doing with it. Personally, I have done quite a lot well with the credit cards because I know what I was doing with them. Before I was on the other side where I didn't have the knowledge to know what to do with them. But then when I came to that realization, I became the master of that too. And I played, I bit that game to its fit because that is what it's meant to be. When you are in charge of your finances, you command it and then you pull that spoon when it's got to be pulled. Micropayment hides the real cost. £8 here, £12 there, £20 next week. It doesn't feel like debt until you add it up. Buy now, pay later doesn't make things any cheaper. It makes it a little bit relax, room to operate. Buy now, pay later doesn't make things any cheaper. It actually makes it easier to ignore because it's actually tiny, a tiny fraction, £20, £10. And so we are not actually tracking it. So within you, you think there's something actually working for you, but then nothing is working for you. If you multiply how many times you have done this, then let's jump straight into Proverbs 14, verse 15. It says, the simple believe anything. Buy now, pay later. Sells believe, not truth. Truth is transparent. Truth is without hidden charges. But beliefs comes with myth and unrealistic future expectations. Now, let's talk about a part nobody actually talks about. People use buy now, pay later and credit cards because they are stress-free, they are tired, they are under pressure, they are trying to keep up, they are trying to feel better, they are trying to avoid embarrassment. This is emotional spending, and emotional spending creates spiritual debt. If you read Psalm 34, verse 18, the Bible says, the Lord is closer to the brokenhearted. But people run to Klarna than they run to God. And this is actually shocking. How is the Lord closer to the brokenhearted? Yet, we run for the credit systems rather than to God. See, now let me debunk this. I'm not actually here to encourage you not to take debt. Build with debt, leverage on other people's money. We'll be talking about how to use other people's money to marginalize. By all means, use debt, use your credit systems, but it must be controlled. It must actually make sense. The need for me to use my credit card should actually make sense, and it should be tracked in my budget. What do? Each month, all my grocery spends goes on a credit card. The reason is because I actually have a budget for it within that month. And at the end of the month, before it's turn up for me to pay, I clear the full debt off. So what have I done? No interest. I'm actually building my credit worthiness. That is what I'm doing. I take a loan, put it into an investment model, not the stock market. We are not taking loans onto the stock market. There are a lot of investment models. You can take loans into these kind of lucrative ventures. You just need to know what you're doing. But hey, one day at a time, we're breaking down a lot of these opportunities that you can tap into. But these models are actually going to multiply your money. And so if I factor in how much I'll be paying on interest, then it's actually worth me going for that loan. But if the loan is to spend on consumable goods, then it's one of the worst decisions. Now, that's what I'm talking about. We use spending to soothe wounds that only God can heal. Debt is rarely the problem. Debt is the symptom. So imagine I have this, and this actually represents water. It could represent the sea, however you want it to represent. And above the waters, I have the Klarna, I have the buy now, pay later, I have my overdraft fees, I have the Clearpay, and that is what I have above the water. Remember, this one is visible. It looks good. It looks lucrative. But underneath the water, I have the hidden causes. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the stress. I'm talking about shame. I'm talking about comparison. I'm talking about that childhood lack. I'm talking about that comparison we do with our colleagues, our friends, our family members. That is what we have beneath. And these are hidden. We can't actually hold it, but they are emotional. They're spiritual. And they are hidden. But these here are physical. And what you see here consumes all of this and leaves me with nothing. We don't want this kind of life. We're already dealing with things. With climate assessments. A lot of issues going on, different part of the world. We don't even know probably what is going to take place today or tomorrow, the next hour. The least we want to add, the hidden causes, the hidden charges. We don't want that. Let's eradicate all of these. This is why budgeting alone doesn't fix it. You can't spreadsheet your way out of spiritual bondage. It must be dealt how it is. Being spiritually disciplined. Being content with what you have. Acknowledging the season that you find yourself in. Because a time is going to come that you paying £100 for one item wouldn't actually matter. Especially when you're earning more. When you've put all your pillars in place. spending becomes normal with tracking. So there's time for everything. If we do not have it, then we can't afford it. And so there's something I tell myself. If I want to buy this item and it costs £10, can I afford 40 of these? Yes, I can. If this item costs £1,000, can I afford 10 of this? Yes, I can. Then by all means, let me buy it. You see, little things like this will help you. It comes with discipline and your ability to control your emotional spending, your mind. Putting that scale in order. It's so important in this journey. This silent debt is killing your future. It's taking away that value you could have multiplied for your future. And it is emotional. I've been there, so I know what I'm saying. The silent debt crisis doesn't just cost money. It costs your peace, your sleep, your confidence, your relationships with others, your purpose, your spiritual clarity. If you read Galatians 5:1, it says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free." But how can you walk in freedom when your finances are in chains? Now let's do a little bit of an awareness exercise. And please, I'm not here to shame you. I just want to see yourself, how clear it is in that mirror. But then this time, you are not standing in front of a mirror. You are seeing yourself through your actual habits. Can we add the debt on our credit card, add the buy now, pay later, that shoe that we purchased, the overdraft fees? Let's add all of it together. What do you have? Was it worth it? If that debt was worth it, then yes, keep it. That's fine. Like I said, if it is to impact you, if it is to compound your lifestyle, if it is to bring in more than you actually spent, and it wasn't for consumable goods, then by all means obtain that. But what do you see when you add it up together? Was it necessary? Was it just for social? Was it for comparison? Was it because there was a bit of a self-pleasure in there? Let's work on all of these. Take out all the carcasses that we do not need and then allow God to show us the way. Now, let me tell you this. You've been saying, what is she actually talking about? Talking about God. Yes, I am. The reason is because when I knew this God, but hadn't really embraced him, I didn't have an authority over all of these. These are spiritual bondage, and they can let go when you allow God. Yeah. It comes with a law, principles, discipline, building pillars that will help you sustain your lifestyle. Not being comparison with others, but then acknowledging your season and telling yourself the honest truth that yes, this is my time. Today I'm a student. I live in my parent house, or probably I'm in this marriage. Things are actually not working. I do not have a job. You acknowledging that season you find yourself. Probably I'm doing well, but my finances are not in order. Email yatfinance25@gmail.com and let's see how one can impact you one day at a time, as I always say. One more time, another simple exercise. Ask God to reveal the root. Is it fear? Is it pressure? Is it comparison? Is it emotional spending? Is it lack of knowledge? God doesn't just fix numbers. He heals the heart. And I am a testimony of this. I used to live paycheck to paycheck. And sometimes on the 16th, 17th, 18th, I'm actually checking the time and working out my calendar. When next am I going to be paid? These are all signs of spiritual bondage. When you actually centralize God in your life, you get to know the revelations that were hidden in the Bible. And when you pick all of these, you become fortified. And a day at a time, you are able to shut them off. You just shut it off. You don't need it. You just shut it off. And so when I see you and you have something I don't even have, I know it takes time. It's just a matter of time. And if I want it, I will get it. But the question is, why do I want something you have? Is that my prayer point? No. Now, this is an action point for you. Build a plan that heals, not hurts. A plan that removes shame, but then brings you clarity. A plan that builds confidence and breaks cycles. This is what we want to build. A plan that restores stewardship. This is where transformation begins. And if you want to be transformed, I tell you, it all starts from the Bible. I have read books, and the basics of these are from the Bible. Family, the silent debt crisis ends when you stop hiding and start healing. You internalize your healing. It starts from within. And then others see the output through its manifestation. It all starts from within. It starts with a mind. It starts with that self-awareness. It starts with looking into the mirror and saying, no, this is not what I want. I could do better. It starts with you being truthful with yourself, especially when others are watching. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are just becoming aware. And awareness is the first step to freedom. Please stay connected because we do not just talk about money. We transform lives. And where can you get this? Money, finances, investment, opportunities, all of these backed with the word of God. YAT Finance, that is the place for you. As always, thanks so much for staying with us. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel and you found value in this, please do me the honor, share, subscribe, and leave me a message. God bless you, and I'll see you on the next.